Welcome to another episode of What's Going On with Car Insurance. Car insurance just keeps going up, and what we want to do here at Finhabits is get into the nitty gritty of what do you need to know when you're getting your next car insurance policy. Remember, it's always a good practice to compare. Because as you know, right, if you stay with the same car insurance carrier for many, many years, they're just going to hike up the prices. And hey, inflation is through the roof. So that's what they want to do. They just want to increase the prices. But today we have Beto here, and we're recording this from El Paso. And the idea is I want to get into the questions that most people are asking. And one of the questions that I hear the most is, how do I first start? How do I understand what are the different options in car insurance? Are they all the same? How do I understand, and how do I start negotiating and comparing? Can you tell us, first of all, like what are the different types of car insurance?
Absolutely, Carlos. Thank you for having me here. So there's three types of car insurance that you could get. First, there's a liability, which is the one that's required by the state. There's also coalition, which is that one covers. It's the second level. That one covers not only liability but also your car in case of an accident. And there's comprehensive. Comprehensive. If you have a newer car, you have a loan on it, you're required to have it by the lender normally, and that one covers not only the other person's car and your car, but also in case it gets stolen or if a tree falls on it.
Got it. If you're leasing a car, you probably have full coverage, which is comprehensive. So sorry about that, but you can't get out of that. Now, let's talk about the first one, because that's probably what most people want to know. How do you lower your costs in car insurance? Is at least you have to understand what's that minimal requirement that you have to do to comply with your state regulation. When you start getting into the details of liability, because that's the one that I probably want to know first, like that's the minimum requirement. How do you start interpreting all these different numbers that when you get that quote from the carrier, how do you know what it means? Can you tell us more about what are these different numbers on the liability coverage?
Absolutely. So remember, the liability is the one that your state is requiring you to have to drive. So let's talk about here in Texas, because every state is different and you need to know these numbers. In Texas, it's 30, 60, 25. That's the numbers you'll see on your insurance.
So you're going to see three numbers.
Three numbers, correct. So you're going to be asking yourself, what do these numbers mean? The first number, 30, that's the amount of bodily injury it will cover per person. So let's say in case you're in an accident and the other person needs medical attention, your insurance will pay up to $30,000 for their attention in the hospital. The next number is a 60. That's the total amount, $60,000, which the insurance will cover for medical attention per accident. So since it'll cover $30,000 per person, and we're two people, it's $6,000 in total. It's two people for the in that accident.
Correct. And what about the third number, the 25?
The 25, that's the property damage. So let's say you hit a stop sign, or you hit a light pole, or you hit a wall. That's how much your insurance will cover for property damage that's caused by your car.
If you have a bad day and you end up in an accident where you hit another car that had three people, and each is going to incur costs of $30,000, that means that it will only cover two of them. The third person is not going to be covered.
That is correct.
Okay. Yes. So it's very important that you understand these numbers, because even though, it's called liability insurance, you might still be, liable for an extra expense, right? Now, what does it mean when you're looking at different policies in different states? Because a lot of us move from state to state and these rules change, right?
So yeah, absolutely. You need to be up to date on your state's requirements. So for example, if you're in Florida, the minimum is only $10,000. while you're in Texas, as we just covered it, it's $30,000, 30, 60,000, and 25,000.
So if
it's different, yes, in every state.
If you're in Florida, you might be lucky because you only need to have the minimum coverage, which is $10,000. But it doesn't mean that your policy is cheaper in Florida. No, it just means that's the minimum requirement. That's really, really helpful. And now, how do you know what is the minimum requirement on each state? You need to be informed.
Absolutely, yes. So you can log into your state insurance department website, and that's where you'll find out more information on the minimums.
Or you can take a look at more of these videos where we continue to educate you and discuss these topics that are super important for all of us. We all need car insurance, and unfortunately, prices are going through the roof. And we're here to hopefully make it better for you so you can save money in your car insurance. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos.